Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in with another episode, the first episode of 2024 with the comic menu. I'm gonna bring on Caesar real quick. We
Hey,
got
look
to
at
be
that.
here together.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Great wise dude. What's up?
Good.
Yeah, happy New Year. It's a brand new year for us. Expecting good things. We're not a lot planned, but we're expecting good things either way. So Caesar's wanted to bring it start the new year with something old, very old,
Yeah.
older
Yeah.
than Caesar.
New Year
uh,
with something old. Yeah. Not me, you motherfucker. But yeah, it's something old.
Anyways, so we are going to introduce you to Cash first because he's been here. He's a
Mhm.
well, actually, we ended up with Cash, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We ended up with Cash in back
And we're
comics,
gonna,
and we
yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna bring him on real quick. What's up, Cash?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man.
Glad
Good.
to
This
be
is
here.
Chef. What's up, Chef? Oh, Chef Comics, right?
Yeah. Jeff Flipping Comics. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, look at that. I tell you what, this is going to be a very cool show. The reason why we brought in Cash, not only because he looks like the Mennonite that we all know and love, but because he also collects Golden Age. He, as you well know, he does his shows with Dell. Dell hosts him, and he has a lot of books. But yesterday he did an all faucet show, so we are going old school golden age, and I brought two guys, and we planned this shit a couple months ago.
Since last year.
That last year we planned this
Yeah.
so long ago, and I said, "Hey, man, I would love for you guys to come on first show of the year to talk about Golden Age because we have yet to do that on this podcast." So, no further ado, yeah, let's
You
do it.
got this.
All
So I'll
right,
bring
we're
him
gonna,
on. You introduce him.
yep, let's do it. Look at that. We got Code Blue Comics and a Crime City Comics. James and Jason, how are you, my friends?
Salute. Cheers.
Oh yeah,
See,
cheers. Yeah, look at that.
uh,
Yay.
we're excited for this. This is certainly a little different forum for us. We're not shy in front of the camera, but usually we're behind the camera looking
Yeah.
at books.
Yeah. We've been really, this is an exciting time because there are many people in this community and especially in the chat watching this, and Dow himself who and myself were kind of new to Golden Age, but we have noticed sort of this uptick of interest of Golden Age books compared to everything else. And the funny thing is, we don't know where to start. People are like, what is considered golden age? So we're going to be asking a lot of questions. People are going to, in the comments could be asking questions. Guys, if you have questions for these guys or any kind of golden age question for Cash, Cold Blue, and Crime, put them up there. We'll put them on the screen and we'll try to answer that. But we're going to have some fun. We're going to drink some scotch. We're going to talk old school. We're going to talk artists. We're going to talk why these books lasted through time. We're going to talk about why are they so fucking expensive? Because one thing we've noticed, just because a book is old does not mean it's worth money, right?
True.
And we got to make sure these. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to show them regardless. But these covers back then will not make it to a cover now. A lot of them,
Oh,
because
no.
it's a lot of different politics and stuff like that. We're going to show you them. This will be one of your first times seeing these on a cover. So, guys, if we get canceled, well, we already know what high.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's already know. We're going to talk Senate hearings. We're going to talk about the seduction of the innocent book. If you guys saw my promo reel, those are the topics we're also going to be covering. So let's get the show on the road, people. I'm excited.
so another question right there: early '50s, late golden age, or atomic age? So I know. Look, honestly,
So,
guys, me and Caesar are not going to be able
Technically,
to answer it.
atomic
So
age.
I think technically the golden age starts with Superman
Yeah.
in 1938.
Okay. Yeah.
And ends in like 1945. The atomic age started after the atomic
1954.
bomb.
We'll document how it ended.
So what's atomic age? I never heard of that term, honestly. So educate me.
Most people don't use it. I mean, most people will use the term golden age for everything from 1938 to 1956.
Right. That's about now. All right. So that being said, why is it? Why did the term atomic age? Is it the same thing, but it's just different coin?
Well, we don't really talk much about golden age. We talk more pre-code, meaning
Yes.
pre-comics book code,
Mhm.
which like what the books that we sell, or the books that I primarily sell, are pre-code horror, pre-code crime, pre-code war, pre-code sci-fi, and a little bit of romance. So they're technically golden age, but the books that we typically sell are books that were affected by the comic book code, meaning that they were banned.
You would be hard pressed to find in this room a little white stamp in the upper right corner. I don't think there is a single one. I get all sick when I see that. It just
so that being said, so there's probably people in the comments going, I don't understand what's going on, because we also have a lot of newbies who join the show and they watch the show. So let's go to the beginning. Let's go into why the comic code existed. As before, there was never a comic code. That's why you see a lot of covers with headless women and people being drowned and being shot in the head. And, those covers will never be made like they are now. But can you explain how we got to that point?
Yeah,
this is certainly your territory.
It is. It is. Does everybody know what the comic book code looks like? I mean, I think we do have some books here.
Yeah. Well,
you got a comic book code?
Here we go. Right here.
No,
I actually
what is that?
Hold on, I got one.
I got one right here. There's a little comic code.
There we go. Oh, that thing. Oh, see, I'm getting chills already.
What are you talking about? You got silver.
I've got crates full
Come
of
on. We sell some other. You sell some silver and some other stuff.
I have some sweet PEC books that are releasing. Fred Wortham had a problem.
The bottom line is that, you had parents that were concerned about how their children were being influenced by comic books. And, why were they concerned? You had a doctor named Dr. Wortham, who was a psychiatrist. And he was a very highly respected psychiatrist. And he wrote a book called Seduction of the Innocents. Prior to that, he published some articles that basically scared the shit out of parents. And his main theme was that the books, specifically the crime comic books, were instruction manuals to teach kids how to become criminals, teach kids how to become thieves, teach kids how to become rapists, murderers in great detail, and also teach kids how to torture. So they had some articles, and they had a.
Well, wait, where was the first appearance? Before Seduction of the Innocent, it was published in the Women's Journal.
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
He's got his notes. He's very excited. He's very excited.
I read up.
He has his notes. So prior to he's very enthusiastic.
I am enthusiastic.
You are enthusiastic, as you should be. So
and there's Dr. Wortham.
That's Seduction of the Innocents.
There's Dr. Wortham.
But there was this article right here.
Oh, that's a guy.
I don't know if you can see this article or not.
Hold on.
There you go.
Okay. So Dr. Wortham published this article in a women's magazine. And it was a very popular women's magazine. And basically the concept was, parents, you have no idea what your kids are reading. And let me tell you all about it. And it scared the shit out of parents. And this created basically a war on comic books. And even after the comic book code was put into play, we'll talk more about the Senate books and the Senate hearing, the sensationalism that surrounded this to get the general public to get very upset about these comic books was very real. There's when you talk about like 2020 and these exposés, this was popular in the 50s. Can you see this?
Gotcha.
So this was a popular newsreel in the 1950s.
Hold on.
Confidential file.
Okay. So
There we go.
confidential file. Now you have to think for a minute about what was happening in the 50s. When people watched television in the 50s, they believed what they were seeing. There wasn't this overwhelming, like we are today. We question everything. We're skeptical, highly skeptical. When a newscaster came on in the 50s, they believed it 100%. So when this came on the air, this was full on sensationalism. And It's on YouTube. If you look it up, it's wonderful to watch, to give you an idea of what was happening prior to, and during this comic book code. That this expose basically said, and it showed like these dramatizations where they had kids torturing other kids, tying them up to trees, holding up lighters to them, stabbing them. I mean, this was a crazy dramatization that people believed to be true. And this is all what kind of fueled this comic book code and got the general public upset.
But this was all in an era where there absolutely was no governing body. There was, unlike film, where there was a motion picture code, there was no regulations in the comic world, and it allowed this to continue and flourish until the point where it was smothered.
Once they talk pre-code, like when you hear the term pre-code, there's actually pre-code Hollywood too.
That's right.
And pre-code Hollywood happened before.
What year did that happen? You think around
the
40?
30s, the 30s, late 30s. Yeah, I mean, like the movies and things that were around. The bottom line is there were certain politicians that wanted our children to have access to printed material and even adults to view different types of media that they considered at that time appropriate, right? And the same thing going on now with video games. There's no different.
No,
It's the same type of concept.
we've seen this play out. We saw it play out first in the I can't think of a time before the 50s where the comics code was given birth, but since then we saw this with movies where the rating system came in, and then the PG-13 system came in later in our life because just a couple things were just too bad for PG. And then we saw it with Grand Theft Auto and video games where you market to the mothers, and that creates just this fear, and it is creation of fear.
Don't forget music.
And music.
Music, right? The whole NWA thing and all that stuff that people like.
Oh
and
yeah,
started-
that
they
was
started breaking
So
records.
what did this not play out? in?
Big Cheney, yeah.
Every one of them.
One of the
and Chipper Gore.
Yeah.
one of the quotes from Dr. Wortham, and it was in Seduction of Innocence, and he also did it in the actual trial or the hearings, is he mentioned that 90% of the children that he saw, because he was a psychiatrist and he tried to help children with psychological problems, with depression, all different types of mental illness, paranoia, schizophrenia, manic depression, etc. And he made this quote that was later refuted, that 90% of the kids that were under his care read these crime and horror comic books, and they influenced them.
And he's probably right.
But what he didn't say is that 90% of the kids that don't commit crime also read these comic books.
Right. They don't want to. They don't want to publish that, right? It's the same thing as the news always
He
shows. the
claimed that he
negative.
had 8 years or 10 years of study data, but that study data was not the kind of study where any ARB, or I'm sorry, academic review board would say, all right, you have a control group and you have an affected group. No, he looked at his own patients and drew the conclusion and worked backwards that because he met the hypothesis by working before it and saying, obviously comic books are bad, and then every person obviously read comic books, and he only saw the ones that were troublesome. And so 100% of people. I mean,
I'm going to cut y'all off real quick before we miss this, because comments are coming in. There was a question about 10 minutes ago that I was waiting on. And now any Cash or Cold Blue or Crime, whoever wants to answer this, is who was a pioneer of EC books?
Well, who created it?
Well,
Which EC? Are we talking about the educational comics, or by Max Gaines, or later on?
So this is
William.
This is Bill Gaines.
Yeah. William is probably who you're thinking of. That's all the ones you're familiar with. Yeah.
But it's interesting how you get there, because originally EC Comics was educational comics, and the first book that was published was pictures from the Bible, and the whole purpose of that was to teach religion to people who had not been exposed to it. And then they were trying to teach education and pictures and animals. But Max Gaines had a tragic boating accident and passed away, and he ended up leaving the company to his son William.
So when Bill Gaines was somebody that had, there's different types of biographies and such written on Bill Gaines, and he talks about how he had no desire to get into the comic book industry, and when his father passed, his mother said, you're the eldest son, you need to take over this business,
which was in severe debt, by the way.
And it was like Jason was talking about, the books his dad was publishing, and his dad was a pioneer in comic book industry. I mean, he worked with Stan Lee and some other big names. But when he started his own company, Entertainment Comics, he got into the religious side of things and wanted to have more of a wholesome approach. Well, they were going bankrupt. They were losing money. And Bill saw, some of these other books coming out, like the books from Fox Feature Syndicate, these horror books, these crime books that were coming out, and decided to change gears. And he did some really revolutionary things. One of them being that he celebrated the artist. And when you were an artist in the pre-code era, and specifically if you're a woman and you're an artist in the pre-code era, or if you're African American, you're invisible and you couldn't sign your art. And Bill Gaines took the opposite approach, and he made his artists rock stars, meaning that he had their biography like on the first page, and he celebrated his artists, and they made more money and they had more influence. And he really, during the Senate trials, Bill Gaines, this photograph I held up is actually Bill during the Senate trial giving testimony, and it was disastrous. We could talk about that later. His testimony, it didn't work out the way he hoped, but during that testimony, he said he created the horror comic. He was the first one to publish it, which is not really accurate, but he kind of stood up. He was the only one that kind of came forward and wanted to take on, the censorship concept. It didn't work out very well for him, but when people talk EC Comics and who started EC Comics, really, when you're thinking about Bill Gaines. And also, we take it for granted as a knowledge base, but Bill Gaines, when he was pushed out of business, when EC was put out of business because of the comic book code, and that's literally exactly what happened, he started Mad Magazine.
Oh,
not everybody realizes that.
Yeah. Okay.
Bill Gaines started Mad Magazine. He brought a lot of his artists with him, and we know how much of a success Mad Magazine was.
I don't think is it still in print, or I
no?
think
They stopped. They ended quite a
decade
It's still coming out. They're only doing reprints now, though.
Right, but boy, and you could see it about the first 10 years of Mad Magazine are just phenomenally different than afterward. But yeah, no,
it was a continuation
there
from
it is,
the
right there,
comic book.
Mad number one.
Yeah, it's a very desired book that people don't realize.
Big time.
Is desired.
So if you see, this is Dr. Wortham, and he's reading a copy of Shock Illustrated, and what Shock Illustrated was also a magazine before, where Gaines was trying to carry on the crime and the horror genre and still have these really interesting comics, but were technically not comics. And he created this. This is the book here.
Shock.
And it was a Psycho-Picto-Vision, and these are hardcore books too. And they were technically not comics; they were magazines.
So it did not have to have the comics, the
Right.
comics code on it.
Which I love that, and the reason I
Went around it.
He was nothing if not creative to work around the rules.
But I can see when you look at Wortham here, right?
Yeah, right.
This is after the hearings. This is after he had vilified EC Comics. And there he is reading a copy of Shock Illustrated, the first version. And you could see him in his office probably just shaking his head, going, holy shit, he's still doing it.
It's interesting when they created the comics code, they initially looked for kind of an overseer and someone to kind of put the stamp of approval on the books. And guess who they reached out to?
To who?
Him?
Frederick Wortham.
Yeah.
Now, and guess who walked out of the room when that happened?
Mr.
Bill Gates. He said, "I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be part of this code."
So I'll tell you what. So we get there, right? Now let's get into hey. Now we got some Senate hearings here.
Okay, so
Right.
my
Well, how did we get there?
how did we get to the Senate hearings?
Well, I mean, who was the senator? Go.
Well, there were several senators, but
But
the
Frederick Wortham basically
Hendrickson was
poured
the
himself
first,
out to any politician who wanted his support, to work on that platform. And,
So who was Henderson Cash?
So
he was from New Jersey. He was the first
Yep.
senator. He sponsored the legislation
So
to
that-
start the Judiciary Subcommittee on Juvenile Delinquency.
Fucking New Jersey, man.
He was a
Jersey,
Republican
and then-
from New
and then-
Jersey.
and then- well, no, he's talking about New Jersey and then Tennessee. So,
Yep.
when you're talking about New Jersey,
The shithole of
here you
America.
go.
Hey, wait, hold on.
Oh, there it is.
Let me zoom in on this because this is.
I love this. Is one of my favorite pictures and I never knew this existed until I
Can you
met
see
you guys.
it? You take your time.
Okay.
Okay.
Representative comic book covers, crime, horror, and weird parody. Right.
Okay,
Right,
so
Right.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
now you can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Is
that's
that
that's
is
the
that
Senate-
Kefauver in there?
yeah.
In
So
the
he's
picture?
he's pointing to the copies of what we call the dirty 2 dozen, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
That particular photograph.
Now, watch carefully when I take this away. Look behind us here.
There we go.
Oh,
Stay right. That's good right there. That's good.
Going,
That's good.
So picture, and then this is the recreation of that wall.
Now that to me is probably one of the most impressive that you guys have lived the goal that ever since I started watching you guys have done to own every single book that's in that picture is fucking
Okay.
phenomenal.
so,
I don't care what anybody says.
So this photograph here, I just want to tell you a little bit about this Senate project. And right before, well, about a year before Jason and I met,
Which is a story in itself.
I came across this photograph, and this guy right here, hold on, right there,
in the middle.
that's
Okay.
that is Senator Kefauver. So Senator Kefauver was the senator from Tennessee, and he was running for president of the United States, and the war against comics was part of his platform, and he did not get elected. But people talk about the guy from New Jersey. They talk about some of the other senators, but he was literally running for president, and this was part of his platform. And he did a lot of. He's actually featured on that on the video Confidential Files. He's interviewed there. But anyway, so this particular photo, I came across it online, and my wife is a Bahamian citizen, so I live here and there, and we're hanging out on the couch, and I see this photo, and I became curious, and I started researching it, etc. So long story short, I bought the editorial rights to that photograph. And the reason I bought the editorial rights is when you see that photograph online, it's pretty blurry because it's Getty Images tries to protect it, right?
Right.
When you buy the editorial rights, they send you the high definition version. So then you can really see the books on there. So I started gathering up all the books and collected all of them in one way, shape, or form, and then slowly started to upgrade the books to better and better quality. But the purpose of this, when I got that photograph, all I wanted to do is I found it interesting, and I wanted to collect the books just out of a hobby. It was something that became a passion. Then I realized that a handful of these books no one really even knew about, like T-Man or like this Justice Traps the Guilty book. I mean, these are titles that you may have heard of, but they were in dollar bins, literally in dollar bins. So then I petitioned CGC and asked that, all of these books should have the distinction that says that they were used in the Senate investigation on juvenile delinquency. And when I presented it, the suggestion at the time was just to submit the books for grading and submit the documentation and add it to each book and request that it has that notation. So nothing happened. And then we went back and forth, and then a friend of Jason's, Donovan, had some communication with some other people at CGC, and he sent an email to them and said, look, James has been trying to get this designation. And once the right people saw, what we're trying to accomplish, they approved it immediately, because these books deserve the recognition that they should have.
Are you trying to tell me, James, those descriptions on the book is all because of you?
Correct.
That's correct. So
Look at this motherfucker.
I zoom in on this one here, just so let's see if
well, just to clarify, I don't want to say these are not. Some of these are SOTI books, and there were some books that had the distinction that said that they were used. Hold on a second. He's trying to.
I'm hoping this thing comes into focus. It's
I'm going to right there.
Anyway, prior to this project, there were a few books.
Hold on, me.
Like suspense stories. What's Choking a Boat? I forget the number. Anyway,
Choking.
There's a couple of books that had the distinction and said that they were used in the Senate investigation on juvenile delinquency. But these back here, none of them had that distinction, and they all should have. I mean, if you think about, let's say you're at work, right, and you have to give a presentation, right? So you're at work, you've got to give a big presentation, and you want the presentation to go well, and this guy Piefhofer is running for president. Now, do you think that they took the time to choose the covers carefully? Yes.
No, yeah.
I mean, these guys probably sat in the boardroom and said, yeah, this one's awful, that one's awful, let's go with that one. Mm-hmm. So these are the 24 books that they had on their main presentation board during the hearings. Mm-hmm. And none of them had that distinction, which was kind of shocking to me at the time. And so anyway, long story short, we got I got the approval from CGC.
I always thought this kind of sums up your point there. Why did they choose certain books?
So no, anybody in even the Golden Age community, they've heard of Mr. District Attorney, right? But they probably haven't. No one's been collecting this particular Mr. District Attorney. It wasn't on anybody's radar. But it was on their radar because that's the district attorney. Basically, he's in a firing squad.
Right.
So the gangsters have the district attorney up against a brick wall, and they're killing him. Right? They're fucking killing him.
So when you think about that, it's still not a surprise why it's on.
No, there's a reason they chose that. So it's a big deal.
And among obviously the slashing, holding someone's head and being hung, and all those things. It's just I get it, right? But
so this one is now prior to getting the recognition of being in the Senate investigation on juvenile delinquency, before getting the distinction, it was already a popular book for pre-code collectors. Why? Because it's creepy as hell. You got a woman that's been that's been held captive, and the doctor is doing a blood transfusion. And the blood transfusion is going to his buddy behind him, who happens to be a zombie with a bullet hole through his head. I mean, that is pretty fucked up. So when you look at the presentation board, it says, representative comic book covers, crime, horror, and the weird variety. That's the weird variety.
Nothing weirder than that.
That's fucking weird.
See, now this is the thing I think what's drawing me now to Golden Age, and it makes sense because I don't really collect modern unless it's a key, right? But and I mainly do silver and early bronze. But the reasons why I do that is because the art is classic, classic Kirby and all that stuff. So even take it way back, and you see these cool colors that they use, these artists, the orange, red, the greens, they just pop. And it is fascinating to me to be able to have a book from the 1940s, still in great condition.
And they retain it.
Oh, I love it because people ask me all the time, why do you collect and not do wrong? Because I like to preserve history. I just do.
So I'm with you, brother. I'm with you 100%. This is an LB Cole. Let me see if I can get the light on this beautifully. So this is what's called this is a Blue Bolt, an LB Cole Blue Bolt cover, right? And the light's not doing it justice, but this is a psychedelic cover. So LB Cole did a bunch of Blue Bolt books, and this is one of them. That there's a lot of guys that collect only Blue Bolt psychedelics or LB Cole psychedelic covers, and this is one of them. And then let me show you one other one.
And after this book, I'm gonna get into why the LB Coles and the Schomburgs of the world, why are they so popular?
Well, check that out.
That is just so cool.
Psychedelic LB Cole.
I love it, man. It's so
So before we go to the LB Cole, there was a question that we passed on, and Cash, I want to ask you like right now, also for the LB Cole covers. I know you have some for sure, but where is the question right here? I'm pretty sure somebody.
That's so cool.
What the weird one? What was the last published pre-code comic?
Oh, we were just talking about that. Hold on a second.
So here's one of the.
These are like Felix.
So most of these categories, when you talk about like what's the first crime or what's the first horror book, you're gonna have people. People are gonna be. They disagree, right? So, Eerie #1, the 1947 version, is considered the first horror comic book, right? But there's people that will debate about this for forever. I personally don't give a shit, but it's something that's a subject of passion.
Hulk 180, Hulk 181 kind of a thing.
Yeah. So this particular book, though, this one was featured in Heritage did a feature on it, and Heritage does a decent amount of research. Doesn't mean they're right all the time, but this one was the very last new pre-code horror book that came out right before the code went into effect. Okay. There was only one issue of this book, and that was it. And then it quickly switched over to Mysterious Stories. But this book was the last standalone title pre-code horror book right before the comic book code came into effect.
So this one came in early 1954?
Yeah, so the date on this is 9/54.
So September 1954.
Yeah.
And when did the code start hitting?
I think that month.
Yeah, that month.
Wow. Okay. So they got it right under the And
I don't think it was
on purpose.
An accident. I think this is they probably knew, okay, you know what, we're going to go out with a bang. And it's a pretty cool cover. If you look at this cover, you have a lady in red. So some of the things you hear about us, can you back the camera up a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
So some of the things you hear about, we talk about on the show a lot, is what are some of the things that make these books popular? There's certain themes, right? So does it have a lady in red? Check. Does it have a zombie? Check. Mm-hmm. Is there somebody getting choked or burned or decapitated? Perhaps. Yeah. So this one has
them all.
It's got the lady in red, and what they're doing here is that they killed this guy, right? So on the cover, they're talking about killing him, and that they're okay, and then this dude is just walking right out of his grave. So obviously they're not okay.
So there's a question: is that for sale?
It is.
Okay.
What do I got this for? $1,500.
Oh, there you go, guys.
Off white to white. Cool book. I also like some of the interesting stuff. Like this one's signed by whoever owned it. I don't know if you could see it.
The bottom.
You see that? So whoever owned this book, they took the time to put their own signature on it. See that?
So let me ask you guys. So we're gonna start getting to the artists and
showing off some covers.
You know,
some fun covers.
What do you guys have? And I'm gonna start with you, Cash. Who is who is your favorite Golden Age cover artist?
My favorite, well, that's a difficult question. Depends on the type of cover. I
Yeah.
love Matt Baker romance covers, but I like the LB Cole horror covers, and I like the Alex Schomburg airbrush covers, painted covers.
Beautiful.
Those
Beautiful.
that
What about
They're
you?
just- They're
What about you?
frighteningly. Those painted covers are frighteningly beautiful.
James, how about
Yeah,
you?
they're
Do you have a favorite?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
When it comes to LB Cole, I like the psychedelics, but my absolute favorite is early. When I say early LB Cole, I mean like 1945, and I'll show you an example.
Is that
Um,
also go with you, Jason? Do you also LB? Would you say is one of your favorite Golden Age?
I love LB Coles.
So this is an example.
There it is.
This is an LB Cole. This is 1944. And when I'm talking about these on the show, I'm calling this a kind of an LB Cole classic kind of category, right? There's a lot of crazy shit going on this book, and the more you look at it, the more you see.
Yeah.
But it's I like the black covers, and that's one of the things I like. I just, by the way, one of my books is in the upcoming February feature auction on Comic Link. They have that big, it's like once a quarter,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Mask #1.
Yeah, you've had that up on the show. You've had that up on your wall for a while. Right?
Yeah, I put it up, and I have another one that I don't show because it's in a vault far away.
It's in the cloud.
Well, no, it's a so the one that I have that's for sale is a 3.0, and that's probably going to get 18 to 20, probably 18,000 in that range. So anything higher than a 3.0, now you're getting into Mask itself was an LB Cole cover, and it's similar.
Go back to the
Similar
other
this.
part.
What
This
other
is
part?
news to me, the vault part.
Well, I don't want to talk about that.
Sure.
We're not going to. When it stays in the vault, it's in the vault. Stays in the vault.
Stays in the vault.
But so
I like
LB Cole-
LB Cole. I like LB Cole, and I'm a big Schomburg Human Torch fan. I try not to fall in love with some of his, like Jason says, don't fall in love.
That's what I tell them all the time. Don't fall in love.
I try not to, but it's challenging. I mean, I showed you these earlier before the show started. Where'd they go? Right there. But I personally like my favorite Schomburg is and I don't have it here, is Mysterious Marvel Mysteries number 18. Number 18. Everybody has their favorite, but I personally like 18. And the reason I like 18, which I don't have here, is when he drew the Human Torch, and it's unmistakable, how Schomburg drew his Human Torch. He didn't have pants on, but he wasn't pornographic.
Right.
He didn't have a face. He didn't have, like some of the artists drew him, the Human Torch having hips, and they're actually feminine looking, some of them. But Schomburg's were very, they're powerful Human Torch images. But the 18, and there's like 4 or 5 of them, if you look at these covers, the Human Torch is coming out of a cloud. And it's a menacing black cloud, and the cloud is actually on fire. And you see the Human Torch bursting out of this. So it's half of his body coming out. And to me, that is the most striking image of the Human Torch. I mean, it gets me going. When I see that, I can imagine being a kid. I mean, I'm a kid now when I talk about it. It gives me goosebumps.
Right.
When you see that torch coming straight out of this menacing cloud, it's fucking spectacular.
So before
One thing I like about what you taught me on the Human Torch, and I love Schomburg's work. I mean, and I got a Schomburg to show myself, but the original Human Torch artist, who was he?
Burgos.
Oh, Burgos. I'm sorry. Who was just seemed perfect to design such a character where you use small lines and very delicate art, and I actually had not really seen one close up.
So our first, early on when we started working together, I mean, I bought a bunch of his pre-code books on one of his shows, and I came over to pick them up, and then we ended up doing a marathon show.
Oh, it's a great story. I mean,
together.
And Caesar, you might have actually been there for that. A couple weeks before, I had a bunch of EC books, And boy, I don't know who this dude was, but he kept hitting me up, and I want that one, and we'd wheel and deal, and I had a stack of like probably 10 EC books for him. And when he called me to, or when he texted me, hey, want to send them over, and I said, well, what's your address? He gave it to me, and it was just about an hour from where I am. I said, well, if you want to not worry about the post office, why don't you just want to meet somewhere? And he says to me, all right, I'll come on down. You know what? I kind of like your show. You mind if I bring a few books with me?
Yeah.
So he comes down in his pickup, and the first time I meet him, he lifts the hatch, and he's got like 20 suitcases. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's put the racks up. And I think that was our first time we met, first day we met in a marathon 6-hour show.
Yes. That was the first
We've been
time.
doing it ever since.
Wow. Because he does bring these suitcases. I mean, you would think they're like AR-16s in them, but he has these suitcases.
You'd wonder.
Yeah.
So this is not a terribly expensive book. Now there are some Perfect Crime books that are very expensive, but a lot of the Perfect Crime books have a 3-dimensional quality to them.
Mm-hmm.
And but you're asking about what are my favorite artists, and then we can go over to Jason to answer the same question. But when it just comes to art in general, like the answer that was given before, it's very difficult to give, who is your favorite artist, because it really, each one of the artists have their own, they change their style quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like L.B. Cole, early 40s versus mid 40s versus early 50s. I mean, he just evolved into some really cool shit, and I respect all of it and love all of it and own most of it. But I mean, I really am a big Matt Baker fan. Like I sold two Matt Baker books, Crown Number 6, and that's not a very common book that people talk about. But Crown Number 6 had bad girl art on it, and it's Baker drawing a woman that's not attractive, and it's very unusual for him, right? So a lot of Matt Baker art are just these beautiful, just gorgeous, and it's one of the few Crown Number 6.
Maybe it was his mother-in-law. You never know.
It could be, or his ex-wife,
or his ex-wife. As I like to recall. Jason, what about you? Jason?
Right. So what about you, Jay?
All right. So while we were talking about Schomburg, I grabbed like one of my favorite books, and I ended up with this on a trade, believe it or not, for a fantastic 448. And when I saw this come up as a possibility, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm all over that. So this is like kind of the epitome of the kind of war era. This is an exciting comics number 30. And I want to show you this here because it's got so many elements in it. And this is the Black Terror, who to me seems like the proto Punisher, of current comics. You got the skull and crossbones in this case. But look at this era. Let's just kind of take a moment here. So what's happening on this cover? The Black Terror is beating the shit out of someone, but this is Japanese.
Yeah.
And this is so incredibly racist for the time. And you look at some of Schomburg's other drawings that we had on the show last week that were just very tame, but this is very accentuated and terrible and politically incorrect. At the same time, you've got a classic comic element, a bondage cover. Yeah. And if you look at the top of this, it actually says bondage cover. In addition, a Hitler appearance. And a Hitler appearance was just gold in the 40s. Mm-hmm. And then there's one more element to this. And this is check us out here. Buy war bonds. If you can.
Bottom right-hand corner, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. And here, wait, it's coming in there.
There we go.
Yeah. And this is to support the war effort. So it says buy war bonds and stamps for victory. And this is just fascinating. This is really just like one of my just favorite books. And I always I always have it up for sale, but I price it so that I'm not going to sell it.
$25 million.
The sale price is I'm not selling it.
So and I think these are very cool. Now, who's my favorite artist? God, I can't even say that because it's more of a genre. And I truly EC Books was my gateway. And I was just completely fascinated. The more vicious, the better, right? So I grabbed a couple of my kind of favorite covers. Now, James and I actually we have names for these books. We call them official names because that's how we refer to them. But not everybody knows it. I'm hoping one day they go, oh, all right. So let's look at this book here. This is.
And these books are now some of these books that people are going to show. They're pretty actually very affordable. That's the funny part.
Depends on what you mean by affordable. Some of them.
Well, I guess it's on the eye of the beholder. But
Well,
so this is Crime Suspense Stories 23, and I want to just zoom in on this because I think I'm just fascinated. You got that there? Okay, so I refer to this book as Choke on a Boat, but look at the rage
on his face, right? The anger, right?
He's pissed off at her, and he is basically killing her with a tire iron. And look at the detail. We argued about this for a little while. Like, why is it wrapped up? Because, I figured, he loves her, doesn't want to show marks, but that's not it at all. One of our lawyer friends on the show said, no, he doesn't want to leave fingerprints.
Fingerprints, yeah.
I said, oh, yeah, that makes more sense than that. But this is the kind of genre I like. Now, I think you got something you got to show.
Well, this is a book that has nothing to do with. I just pulled it out because people talk about. Can you back the camera?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So people talk about EC Comics. EC Comics being the villain, and the catalyst. Yeah, they were picked on during the Senate trials, and they were put out of business. But the company that really pissed off politicians and pissed off parents and pissed off a lot of people was the mid to late 40s was the stuff that Fox Feature Syndicate was putting out. So if you think of one of the ways that I describe this on the show is if you think of like men's magazines, you have Playboy, right? And you have Hustler, and you have there's just a variety of raunchiness, right? That kind of starts at Playboy and goes downhill.
Right.
So EC at the time was probably a Playboy. Fox Feature Syndicate was the Hustler, or
For sure,
one of those, right? So why was that the case? They're putting out stuff like this, which was it was very shocking. This is a Don Rico cover, and this is Murder. First of all, the title, Murder Incorporated, and it has a woman stabbing a guy in the back, literally stabbing a guy in the back. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these Murder Incorporated books featured women killing guys. And that was a big deal. Women poisoning guys, women shooting guys, and then like prison scenes for women. I mean,
they actually had a title, Crimes by Women.
Crimes by Women, like this. Yeah, right here.
You got one of those?
I do.
It's kind of fun. It's like watching one of the crime shows now. Those documentaries. It's the woman poisoning her husband or having him shot.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, look at this. This is Crimes by Women, right? I mean, this is one of the ones that the woman is not really in the driver's seat. She's getting tossed out of the car. But this was 1954, so this came on a little later. But that earlier one, if you think about timing, right? This came out in 1948. I mean, they're doing this shit in 1948. Yeah. So that was a big deal back then.
So Wally Wood
yeah.
is also one of my favorite artists, and I've got his risque portfolio that I don't have with me tonight that I've shown before, but I've had to put red lines through the nipples and the other parts that you can't show without being thrown off of Instagram. But one of my favorite covers is this one, and this is pretty bad. All right.
Oh yeah.
And this is Shock Suspense Stories number 6. And I'm gonna come in on this because this is, why wasn't this up on the Senate wall, right? Okay. Here we have the KKK. We've got bondage.
Right.
Nothing good is going to happen to this this.
No, yeah, not taking out to dinner. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is not going to work out, but it is the way he drew this is just it's not classic. Usually, when you think Wally, what do you think? Space aliens, and kind of comical features, and that's not this at all. This is just, but this is classic EC. This is
Caesar. If you want some interesting Wally Wood art on a first appearance, he drew Power Girl.
Oh, he did.
He's responsible for the ever-growing breasts on Power Girl during the first few appearances.
So that being said, Cash, now that what's out of your list? I don't know if you brought it out. What's your favorite? Did you already show your favorite Golden book you have?
Oh, I don't think I have. I mean, obviously, my favorite is My Killers, just because it's a great LB Cole cover signed.
Only two books in a run.
So that brings us, because Dale had this question too, Dale, about signatures.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of mentioned I don't know if he was in the green room, Dale, that he answered that why so a lot of Golden Age, a lot of
in the room, or was it here?
No, so I don't remember, but a lot of
Golden Age. It was in the green room. Yeah.
So a lot of Golden Age signatures from these artists, they now do it on the cover, and they do it on the first page, right?
Right.
And logically, it makes sense. I don't want to draw over something that's cool, right? Now, we have seen many artists and writers, which I own 4 signature books, because there's something about, there's certain artists that are masters of placement.
Agreed.
And then there's other ones who don't give a fuck, and right over the face, right in the crotch, right across the whatever, and they may not have the prettiest signature. And it's like, oh,
Ruin the book.
So
For that reason, I'm not a fan.
Artist signatures today are a revenue stream.
True.
Yeah.
Back in those days,
they weren't.
Yeah, they
in those days they weren't.
Can you imagine, Cash? Can you imagine Lee Elias signing this?
right across, right?
I mean,
Yeah, he should be
would you
smashed if
trash
he did.
that? I mean, that's a
What's up, Doro?
7.5 black cat, gorgeous red cover. No, you don't. You don't mess with that. That's
And it's
I had an Impact #1 signed by Jack Davis, and he signed his beautiful shape. He signed it right across the cover in big letters, and I wasn't. There was no way I was going to keep that book just because of the artwork was ruined.
But there's tons of people that do nothing but collect signature, right? They just love it.
Some
The
people
same
get a
way-
buzz.
More power to them.
More
power
and
to them.
I don't. One thing we don't do on this show is shame other people for
No,
what they
Yes,
love.
agreed.
Because
Agreed,
it's-
Charles.
well,
Steranko does have a great signature.
I was
Right.
thinking, I was thinking
Neil Adams too Neil Adams has good placements on his signatures. I've noticed that sometimes he puts it in a place where you're like, I don't even see it, because he kind of hides it in some of the stuff.
But
getting
I
a
think
signed
the answer
cover.
to your question really is that, and you kind of got into that. Some people now collect signatures, right? And they're collecting signatures on comic books. That's what they were collecting. When these books were being signed, all the way up into the, when you're getting into the 60s and the Silver Age books are being signed, those people aren't collecting signatures. They're collecting comic books. They just think it's really cool to get the splash page signed.
Agreed.
That's a different mentality.
But I think
remember
Stan Lee.
the first time I saw a raw LB Cole signed book where he signed it on the splash page, and like that Killers book that you showed, if you're a real LB Cole fan, you just find it kind of cool that to see his signature. You don't need to see it on the cover, just knowing
Right.
that it's on that splash page. And he probably signed it just barely.
He signed the cover anyway, and all of his.
They were signed by him in the first place.
They
Right.
signed anyway.
So I think early Stan Lee was signing on the inside of the splash pages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember
He
him
would sign
doing
his ASMs and his Amazing Fantasies on the first page.
I think
I have one Stan Lee that signed on the cover, and it's an old signature. It's a Conan #1, and it's signed right on the thigh.
Right.
Just very small, neatly within that blank space on the thigh.
And
A
the
good
newer ones
placement.
is like it's like all over the like, and you can
Yeah,
tell
let's-
at the end of his life it was about the money. It wasn't obviously about what signing it.
Oh yeah, when he got older, they were having him sign
You-
fucking Coca-Cola bottles.
Do you
know what I'm saying?
need the #2, or do you have it?
I don't need the #2. No.
Okay.
Look at James doing deals fucking live on the podcast. I
Well,
love
I've just seen, I've seen it
He
because-
has books that I need. He has
Oh,
books
you
that
guys,
I used to
you guys
have.
are gonna talk. Let's trust me.
And
You
meet
guys,
again.
you guys are following each other on IG. By the way, if
I'm
you're not
trying to
following me,
sue, I didn't know. Literally, that The Killers 2 is not a very expensive book.
James, I'm just giving you the business.
No, I know.
If you guys are not following James and Jason, Cold Blue Comics and Crime City Comics on IG, Sinbad right up here on IG. Great stuff. Great stuff.
You'll find us. So I brought out 2 books here that are kind of first. You'd asked before, what's the first crime book? And so I got 2 books here. One of them, what's the first horror book? Well, that's in debate, but this is up there as a possibility.
I see that book a lot. I see that book a lot.
You do, but you may not see the first edition of it.
Also, there's like second, third prints and I
Yes, or they call them HRNs, and I forget what that stands for, but there are several versions of it. But this is the original one, and this is billed as the first full horror comic. And then this, one,
the highest reorder number.
right? Okay, that's what it is. Highest reorder.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now this I've not. Okay, so I got this the other day.
I still wouldn't kick an Erie #1.
No, I would.
out of bed in 1947.
Absolutely, but this was 1943. This, okay, I've never taken this out, all right, because I just got it the other day.
Oh, it's
I
an
sold one
exclusive,
of these.
people.
A good friend of mine had sold me this book, which is billed as the first Prime comic,
Okay.
and it was graded, and I sold it.
What's the year on that?
This is 1936. So this is not Golden Age. This is Platinum Age.
It's pre-code.
It's still pre-code, but this is Platinum Age comics, and it's a Famous Funnies #27. So I've never opened this. I've never touched it because I got it like 3 days ago. I happened to stumble upon another copy, and I wanted to just see. And so this is the introduction. Now this was actually a comic strip, the authentic stories of the G-Men.
Move it a little higher, Jason.
Here we go.
There we go.
And it wasn't, what these Famous Funnies did was they took the comic strips and they put them
Oh yes.
in the book. In fact, Famous Funnies was the first comic book, and I think it was 1933. So I was gonna I thought it'd be interesting to see if we could look at the first crime.
If it disintegrates, we are not. You sign waivers, just to let you know. All right.
Here it is, right here.
Those are guns, huh?
Go up. Go up.
So if you can see this, War on Crime, and this is where. Hold on, if it comes in.
Right there, there we go, there we go.
Stop.
So this,
There we go.
Perfect.
Right, it is right there. So this is where the crime books start. Right here on this page of Famous Funnies #27. And I've never opened it. I've never looked at it, and I just got it. It's not the perfect condition book, but it is very hard to find this book. There's not many of them out there, and that's a pretty good distinction as the first crime book, because in the 40s we went from superheroes, which started in 39 and up to about 43. It was all about Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and then they all disappeared. And what happened was Charles Bureau had hooked up with Lev Gleason, and they released the comic Crime Does Not Pay, which Code Blue has a few of here.
A few.
we have a bunch of these, and that kicked off the era of crime comics.
It's fat. Now, see, that's the cool thing about Golden Age is that people who just starting into this thing, who are barely getting to they're newbies and stuff, and they think Golden Age, oh, old Superman, old Batman, old this Green Lantern, but the fact that they had romance, they had horror, and they had crime, and they
Yeah.
had, and
And-
that is, and to think, and we're going to go back to why it's impressive that we have these books, and you guys have those books and those grades. Many of these books were shipped overseas during the war. The military kept it in their bags. They read it. They passed it along to your buddies, and some of those books actually lasted. And if the books could speak, if the books had a tale to write, could imagine where they've been, who had it in their hands. It is fascinating stuff. Robot. There we go.
This is one of my favorites.
This Robot Show.
I have that book.
That's a great book, right? So the
That's a great
Terminator.
book.
This is like the first Terminator. He's got red eyes. Look at him.
That's the first
This
Terminator.
not this
Yeah.
robot.
And this is 1952. So one of the genres, when you talk of horror books or crime, or sci-fi books are robot covers. And this is
Robot covers are great.
one of the bigger robot covers.
So that's two things. It's a robot cover and a choke cover.
And
Yeah.
a choke cover. That's right. The robot's choking her.
And this has got it all. The robot choke.
So the thing that's comical. It's also kind of a comedy to me, and is that the guy's hitting that robot with his little ray gun. I don't think it's doing a lot.
No, I don't think it's doing. As a matter of fact, it's making him angrier.
I think it's pissing him off even more.
I think it's pissing him off even more.
It's
He's not
like,
doing any favors for that chick. Let's put it
like
that
a
way.
pea shooter.
It's.
There's a little horror lingerie.
So I'm not. That Ghost is a monster book right there. There's a Ghost pedigree right now on Heritage that's going to go for huge dollars. That's a gorgeous cover. Love that cover, dude.
So one of the things I want to get into.
Love that cover, man.
Now this is one of the things I want to get into
Monster.
is the depreciation or non-depreciation of Golden Age books. So when the comic bubble took a big blast and everyone started losing their shirt and oh my God, listen, I paid a lot of money for some of these books and I see how much they're going for now at a higher grade.
Yeah.
I kicked myself, but I didn't have back at that time in that moment. You're not going, I'm going to wait till the comic bubble bursts and I'm going to pick that up for $500 cheaper. You weren't doing that. You're buying because at that time you wanted it. You maybe had the cash and you thought you were getting a deal. With Golden Age, what the hell is going to depreciate? I mean, it's kind of like, so how does that work? You guys have not noticed, and this is for cash as well, because you guys all sell, all three of you.
When I think of Golden Age books and how they're affected by the changes in the market, really, Golden Age books in general kind of hold their own, except there are some basic trends. So probably 2 years ago, L.B. Cole he was already hot, but L.B. Cole became very hot.
But what makes them very hot? What turned?
I think what happened is you had some people on Heritage, where Heritage was started featuring a lot of interesting L.B. Cole books, like all those psychedelic blue bolts, the Power #1, the Mask #1, the Mask #2, and they started hitting these big numbers, and just the general population, the general collecting population, started to learn more about L.B. Cole. If you'd already been collecting pre-code, you knew all about him, and you appreciated his work. But now you got the general public kind of throwing the name around L.B. Cole, and so the value started to rise. So is that going to be permanent? I don't know. The same thing's happening right now with Matt Baker. So now Matt Baker, people like Cash and others know Matt Baker for a long, long time. Beautiful, very desirable books. Now the general public is starting to pick up on, wow, Matt Baker's pretty cool. And you're starting like that Zoot right there.
So,
And a lot of people don't know that Matt Baker was an early African American comic artist. They have no idea.
Love it.
So
He walked in with one drawing in a portfolio and got hired on the spot.
it's fantastic.
So good, man.
It's
So
fantastic. And I appreciate it much more today than I did 2 months ago. You get into these trends where you're like, wait a second, let me look at 7 C's and let me look at.
Can you imagine what it was like to be friggin' Matt Baker in the 50s
Trying to get work.
and trying to get work and walking into an office with it's all white dudes and white shirts and or Lily Renee.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're talking
Yeah,
about this, you got to talk about Lily Renee. Go get that planet.
So Lily Renee.
Okay.
And you'll find that as James mentioned earlier, most of his books aren't signed. Some of the later stuff is, maybe some of the wartime stuff has the signature, but most of it you have to recognize his art. It's not
You
signed.
really do. You have to spot it, like the what's the big one where he's got Erie. Here's one right here. I'll show you one.
He's walking up like there's one of one of the cases.
Yeah, why
He's
talk
gonna
about
open a case and like, oh, it's right here.
why talk about it, James, when you could just show it?
Here's one of them here. This is a cousin to another book.
That's cool.
But
Yeah, that's the second series, Erie.
the second series Erie. But look at that art, man. I mean,
Yeah.
And that to me is why Golden Age is getting more love. We're getting more people who are starting to really appreciate these books for the art, for what it came, and the history that's tied to it.
so you got
Rob.
so you got Bondage, right? You got Skulls here. You got Old Dude. Everybody's chained together, and then you got this guy has
Like a
his
real
own pet,
monster.
he has a pet bat, and the bat is connected to his shoulder. That bat's not going anywhere. But what an interesting pet, connected by shackled to your tricep.
Hey, if one of you guys is interested, somebody is offering me this up for sale right
Let me see.
now.
Can you zoom in on it? Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. I'm talking to that guy right now.
Yeah, you're talking to.
We're on it.
Well, that's because I've got my eyes on an all Negro Comics #1.
That's a big book, man.
And if I spend that kind of money, it's going to go there.
Can I say can I throw out a pet peeve of mine? Just, we all have them, but a lot of times when you see a show like a claim sale or whatever, and they're doing Golden Age, they have like all these references to like really old stuff, like people getting their blue light special. I mean, most of you guys should be in bed by 7, and it's funny. but personally, for me, I liked Golden Age when I was 20, not because they were Golden Age, just because they're fucking cool.
That's
Period.
right. That's right.
I mean,
I like Golden Age when this was black.
Right.
No, it's true. It's one of the reasons why I do like Silver Age, because I love the classic. So for me to love the classic covers of a Silver and the Kirby and all these guys, to now it's starting to trickle down to the Golden Age, because you know what, man, they're cool, baby. I mean, those covers are.
And I'm there with you, Caesar. I love my Silver Age.
You want to throw Lily Renee you're asking about? So Jason was mentioning this.
So this
Jason, let's see that one. That's those Planet Comics. I love those.
You did a special on Fiction House, right? Didn't you mention that early on? Somebody, you guys?
No, I did Fawcett the other day. I did. I had a stack about a year ago. I did a Planet Comics show with a big stack of planets.
Wow, so this is a Lily Renee cover. Okay, so Lily Renee was a woman, and she changed the way that she wrote her name, Renee. Didn't want people to know that she was necessarily a female. Can you back the? So she was in Nazi-occupied Austria and escaped to the United States, and then eventually reunited with her parents, and wanted to get a job. And she was mom said, why don't you go, apply for one of these jobs at the comic book place? And she didn't know what to do, so she drew some Tarzan type stuff. They hired her on the spot, and some of the best Planet covers are Lily Renee covers, right?
She does a lot of interior work.
So she was young, right? She started when she's, I think, 17. She's young, she's female, and she's Jewish, and she was in Nazi-occupied Germany or Austria.
Hitting all the boxes.
I mean, can you come up with any more reasons to be not successful?
Yeah, she had no arms. She had no legs.
I'm going to be successful anyway. That's how talented she was. I mean, look at this cover, man. I mean, this is when Joe Doolin ruled Planet. I mean, every comic cover for Planet this time was a Joe Doolin cover.
It's so
So
cool.
for anybody to have a cover other than Joe Doolin for a planet in this time, it was shocking. I mean, that is a crazy cover. You got this spider web going on. You got the crystal ball. You got this outrageous woman with the
Horn.
shark fin on her head. I mean, she drew
And I
drew
think,
some beautiful stuff.
I think you felt like there's some Doolin covers that were probably Renee's that she ghost painted for him.
I just want to. I forgot about this one. Can you back it up a little bit?
Back up. Yeah.
So you're asking about artists, and we haven't mentioned anything about Feinstein.
Al
Al
Feldstein,
Feldstein,
who is really also one of the EC pioneers.
yeah,
along
EC
with Bill
Comics.
Gaines.
So I don't do a lot of sci-fi books, except for this one. Right? I mean, I don't do a lot of sci-fi except for fucking this one.
All right,
This
yeah,
is-
but bring it. Shoot. There we go. See, now
Weird
that's
science fantasy.
now. Let me tell you what's cool about this. Basic,
basic, powerful, basic,
black.
black.
What number is that? What grade is that?
This is
Annual one,
it's
right?
it's a 4.0. This is so this is Weird Science Fantasy Annual. What's interesting about Weird Science Fantasy is they have different stories inside. So like this one, I have this one and you have another copy. We might have different stories on the inside.
Oh no, it's
All right.
the
Yeah.
same book, but
Same-
the
the same
same
exact-
number.
The same everything.
really? But just different story.
Yeah.
Can we crack that and look?
No, we
What
cannot.
what year is that, Jake?
Can't we crack
This
that
is
alert?
1953 EC Comics.
I tell you
And
what,
it-
to find that book with that
So what's
black
cool-
cover, with
so
that
this
black
one
cover,
here-
it's tough.
This is interesting. So at the top it says, this is very cool. So CGC on the top of this, it says it contains Weird Science 18, Weird Science 19, Weird Fantasy 17, and Weird Fantasy 18.
So all those stories in there.
Right.
in there.
It's a reprint.
But look at that cover. I mean, that is a monster.
You got taken, James. It's a reprint.
So, yeah. So
I
that-
see the
But look what's
399.
cool about this. I never saw this up close. This is probably one of the earliest
the thick one.
square bound
Yeah, thick
Oh.
books. Thick book.
So look at that. I didn't
Yeah,
know
they're
that.
very thick books.
So square bound. You see?
So
And
So
the,
let-
Yeah,
just
Kevin, I'm
to,
thinking the same thing. Okay, dog.
to bounce back a little bit,
Yeah.
just because it was hitting my head to the question that led to looking at some of these cool books,
Mhm.
was the how do the Golden Age books
Mhm.
price wise
stay.
compare, especially considering what's happened to the silver and up
Mhm.
now. And I'll tell you at least what I think about it. Modern books, it's all FOMO and artificial scarcity, right?
Yes,
That's never going to last.
exactly.
That stuff's never gonna last.
2000, whatever.
Yeah. Silver Age books, I think, are going to level out and they're going to come back. The Marvel or the MCU movie bumps affected Silver Age, and they had artificial hockey stick jumps, and so they're going to crash,
Mhm.
right?
And
When you
rightfully
get
so.
back, yeah, and rightfully so. When they were overvalued. When you get back to Golden Age, or let's just say pre-code, people are collecting for entirely different reasons. Nobody's picking up pre-code books because of a movie.
Right.
You're on mute.
You know what I think, Cash? I think the one unique thing, and the way I view many of these pre-code and the books on this wall and all over this room, is I consider them pieces of art. I consider them artwork, and that's just the amazing thing to me. Where I'm like, you know what? You look at the census. There's not 10,000 graded copies. There's 8 copies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like very limited numbered lithograph.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They're
to me,
not
that's what
they're
makes
not
this thing
making anymore of those.
irreplaceable.
So
And they're not in a warehouse, somewhere for the
Mhm.
most part.
Being stored.
Restored.
Well, for instance, you'll find some like thing number 16. in high grade, there's stacks of those around, right? But a lot of Silver Age, and especially a lot of oh, that's a beautiful thing. And especially, I have that one, and especially a lot of modern and everything. There are literally people sitting around with boxes of these things, super high grade. Like, don't overpay for an Iron Man #1. There are people are sitting on extremely high grade stacks of those, right? Golden Age, these things like this thing was 1940, right? And when you go up through the war, these things were recycled in paper drives.
Exactly.
They're not around. They weren't just destroyed by kids. They were, these were printed by the millions per month. They had million issue print runs, and there might be, 100 in existence now, or 20, or 7. I sold a book at a show a couple of weeks ago. There were 7 known copies of the book.
Do you ever give a thought to, there were a limited amount of these books available out there in the 50s, but when all the when the Comics Code Authority was coming to getting birthed,
then they had bonfires.
There were book burnings then, and many of them. And I wonder how many of all these books went up in flames.
Hold on. Let's see. Put you in the center here.
Yeah, check that out.
Having a party, huh?
Wow.
So these are never becoming less collectible.
Now here's another one. People say that, this is right after World War II, which is shocking. Just burning books up.
I have a question for the whole panel as well. Let's start with Cash.
Me?
So yeah, we're gonna start with you. Time Machine. You go back. You can only pick up one book. What is it? Pristine condition.
Pristine condition. I go back and I pick up one book. I want Jumbo Comics #1 in really nice shape. The only one I've ever had was restored, and I sold it. But I'd like to find one in pristine, or at least nice unrestored condition.
I'm talking about going back in time, off the rack. Someone just put it right up there for the kiddies to read.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's a book that I want.
All right.
I can find, because I can't find one. If I want to spend the money, I can find an Action Comics 1, right? I can find a Detective 27.
That's a good point.
That's just a matter of money.
Right.
That's a whole different thing than finding something that's a ghost. It just doesn't exist.
All right. Same question to you, James. What is it?
In my personal, I was just looking through this L.B. Cole book. My personal collection, I collect these Arrow books.
Oh yeah,
these are L.B. Cole Arrows,
and
they're really cool books. But if I were to go back in time, I just want to find a photograph of it here for you.
I hope your thinking cap's on, Jason, because I'm coming to you next. Man.
I know exactly what I want. I'm just trying to find.
He's over here looking around.
Yeah, Jason has no idea what's going on.
I'm watching page 2, and my head is spinning with the question because I don't even know where to start. There are so many.
Well, you're going to have to come up with the first thing that pops in your mind. As a matter of fact, if you already have it, and James is busy looking through his.
I already know. I know what I know. What I just want to find a picture.
Oh, he wants to find a picture
for you. It's not in this room.
Well, I'll tell you, the book I would want in high grade that I've never really seen just a great copy is The Namesake here. I managed to get that photo, but this is number crime 4 or shock 4, and I just this guy. You have my grab me one of those here. So I want to show you because the way this is drawn.
Is that the one with the guy in the back seat?
Where he here we go. Here it is. So Let me come in on it and get the light up.
Let me get
I
off.
really, after doing this show, it makes me realize how many books I actually have.
Yeah, it took our podcast to make you realize that, James.
Well, I mean, it's just like
Is that number 4?
So this is Shock 4. And
Yeah.
I love this. You know, it took me so
Oh.
long to just really take this whole picture in. So the guy's driving the car, and you see the picture in the back, and you're wondering, okay, is she in the back of the car? But no,
it's a
it's a
reflection.
reflection on the window as he hits her. Now in this story, it turns out that the cop that arrested him actually killed this lady, but
Oh, thanks for the spoiler alert, Jason.
I mean, you weren't gonna read
Right.
it. Caesar.
Well, I wasn't going to read it anyways. You're right.
but I just, you know, and the poor lighting in this room is not doing this justice, but it's this look of horror on him. Let's see if we can get that. Here we go.
There we go. There you go. That's
I
it.
love the way this is drawn, and
Mhm.
this book does not come around much. I found myself a lower grade copy, but I would love this book and just a high grade
like an
copy.
8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean exactly. This is just that look.
Wow.
It's fantastic. Look at that expression.
Yeah. So I found the
Wally Wood.
Hollywood. So I found the pictures. So I have one of these, right?
Yeah, the
This,
mask.
this is. See if we can fix this. Can you fix that a little bit?
Yeah, where you want me to come
All
back?
right. So this is LB Cole
There it is.
mask number 1. I have one of these,
Mhm.
and it's going up for auction. So in the mask run, this is like 1945 LB Cole, very similar to like that Power number 3, you know, the black cover. So in a high grade, this is ridiculous. But the one that I would grab off the rack and protect forever would be mask number 2,
Let's see it.
which is this
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's pretty famous for those pop of color, right? And
I
is he famous for the black background?
So what LB Cole did is when you like this book I'm showing you right here is called Blacklight, and it's a history of LB Cole artwork. It's kind of hard to find. But it's a great book and it has a lot of his covers. And in here it talks about kind of his philosophy. And he believed that all of his books should be similar to a movie poster. So when you look at this book from across the room, you're a kid, right? You're going into a bookstore or whatever. You can see this book from across the room and know, that this is LB Cole.
Mhm.
And the more you look at LB Cole books, the more you see. I mean, there is so much.
And this is classic. This is your classic LB Cole cover.
So a high grade one of these came on Comic Link. It's a $100,000 book.
Mm.
You could spend $1 million on a, Amazing Fantasy or Superman or whatever. But to me, finding a high grade of this,
Yeah.
I mean that's a monster.
But you asked what's classic about it. You have the middle,
Chris,
you kind of your main piece in the center, and he always uses these psychedelic colors: yellow, green, and red.
Well, the primary
Your primary colors, and then and everything is always like you said. If the movie poster, you have your centerpiece, like clockwork around it, you have your kind of side characters, and you'll see this theme over and over.
What he would do is what fascinates me about some of these older LB Cole. And this is mid 40s LB Cole, just like the Power book that I showed earlier. This is mid 40s LB Cole. You can see the similarities, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I find fascinating is his decision making. Can you imagine being an artist and you're drawing this cover and you say, you know what? I'm going to make this dude's hair green. I'm going to make this guy half of his face yellow and red.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, half his face is going to be yellow and then blue. And the fact that it all works.
Yeah.
That's shocking. And I've done some art myself.
Dolly cover.
Yeah.
It's just shocking how well it works, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the one with the butterflies?
Well, that's this one. That's
There. Okay, there it is.
So
Yeah.
mask number 1 is another example. When you look at it closely, these are all butterflies that are flying to the flame, right? And these books were considered evil. I mean, obviously, because it says, right here, evil.
Evil. There it is. If you had any questions, it's evil.
But his artwork was just phenomenal. What most people don't realize about LB Cole is he actually preferred to draw horses.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have that horses book, a couple of copies of that LB Cole.
That startling terror with the horses.
So I know Caesar was asking you. I actually, one time, I was like, after a show of cash, I was looking into older books. There's a book that caught my attention. I still remember. It's one of the few books I actually remember, and I don't own it. Obviously, I don't own it. But I was wondering if you guys might own it, Cash or Cold Blue Crime. Astonishing 30. I think the artist is Joe Manelli.
Is it man?
Mainly astonishing. I got a
So
bunch of-
it's the eyes from the sky burning the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
in the
he's-
like near tombstone. I thought
Yeah,
that
so
was
he's
real
he's-
cool.
So he's melting. His
Yes.
eyes are melting the dude. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Um,
I don't have that. This is this run. He's talking about this run here from Astonishing.
what number is that?
This one is 34. And this is the manly cover as well.
Well, if you see a 30, hit up Dell and he'll.
But I tell you what,
I don't know anytime soon I can afford one, but it's real
This-
cool.
this book right here is, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated manly
That's
astonishing
cool.
covers. It's a guillotine cover.
I was about to say, is he under a guillotine?
His
You
head
don't
is
see,
in a
you don't
guillotine.
see the guillotine. That's the
Exactly
thing.
what-
Dude, but what I noticed is in those astonishing covers, it's a lot of detail.
Yeah, I mean,
A
this
lot
dude
of
is,
cool detail.
this dude is
Dell,
dead.
do you care what the grade is?
This
Honestly,
is,
I don't care. I just thought the cover was awesome.
I might have one of those.
Here's a point when we're talking about grades
yeah,
in these golden age books.
so true.
This is a point where you can have a 5.0, a 6.0 that looks nice, but you can have a 1.0 that looks fantastic.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
It might be missing an interior page.
yeah. I don't care.
And to me, that doesn't bother me at all with these books because I'm considering these pieces of art.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Golden Age restoration is much more acceptable, especially color touch, pieces added, tear seals,
Cool.
things
This is
missing.
It's a monster book. This is a golden age or a pre-code drowning cover, right? And any big pre-code horror guys, they all have a copy, or they want a copy of this drowning cover. And this is Tomb of Terror 6. So you look at that cover, right? How beautiful that is, right? It's a nice shape, but it is missing page 7, so it's a 0.5.
Oh, I got a 0.5. And that's exactly what Jason's talking about because it presents well. I'm
Yeah.
not going to read it and open it anyways, so I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck, right? But
We
if
were
it
joking-
presents
we were-
well, I'm in.
We were joking on a show not too long ago. We're talking about this specific book, and I go, "Wait a minute, I'm concerned about page 7. Hold on a second.
Right.
Are you sure I can't get to page 7?
Well, let's not go there this week.
Hold on, I can't.
This month.
Are you sure I can't get to?
It's 100%.
I
It's
can't find it.
100%. It blows. That's
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
now.
Apparently, according to a video I saw, you can use a heat gun and find page 7.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a big
Apparently you
situation.
can't.
Oh, that's
Word,
good.
word around the campfire. So I want to go to the next. Oh,
Something that I've noticed over the past 6-8 months are the Golden Age collectors are starting to go for these. They're going back to the
Oh, yeah.
pulp.
Are we going there tonight?
Don't even start it.
Don't get me started.
You started it.
But this is, and a lot of the reason I bring it up to some of the folks on here is that a lot of these are going under the radar, right? You can find them at flea markets for $10.
Hopefully, you're
This
you're
one of
still
these, this one I got for $10. One sold on Heritage in December, I think, for
what are they
480
called, Cash? What are
in
those
this grade.
considered? What are those considered?
pulps.
Those are considered the pulps because.
Oh
because
yeah, I've been hearing that word.
So CGC is going to start grading pulps.
Yes.
Yeah,
They-
they're,
they should have
they're
already
really
been
thick.
doing it, but they've
That's thick.
attention's been a little diverted lately.
Yeah. So I have a question. First of all, I got two questions. One, people want to know, Jason and James, what are you guys drinking?
We were drinking a.
That's always the question.
So here, this is it's a
That's
nice,
always the question
nice,
I ask you. I always want to know.
Sorry, what you drinking?
nice Blanco.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice.
Well,
Oh, you're doing tequila
You
today.
know, so
huh?
if you've seen us, if you've watched us long enough, we've been all over the planet here. We've we've done scotches, we've done bourbons.
Jason jokes about his dad bod, so we're drinking the tequila.
So,
There you go, brother.
so I'm drinking a nice Belvini 12-year Caribbean Scotch.
Nice
Caribbean
weird
Scotch.
sales.
Yeah, and I know you love the Caribbean cast. That's a
Oh, I love
great
the Caribbean cast, Jason.
Those are great.
So this is
What's
a
Grayskull? Where's Grayskull?
Grayskull's right behind you.
Oh, Grayskull.
Grayskull's in
gonna make it
Eternia.
No, Grayskull's gonna make an
Yeah.
appearance. Let me see. There he is.
Yeah.
There he
Grayskull.
is. Look at that face.
So only a face a mother could love. This is
There he is.
Grayskull. I've had him for a long time. Usually he's in my truck, guarding the truck.
And when we're doing auctions, Grayskull gets crazy.
So Grayskull makes a very specific appearance. Let's see if I can get him doing his technique.
That's right. That's
So
right.
Grayskull kind of sneaks in, usually from the
500. Here 525. And Grayskull's always coming in there. You know, he's encouraging the bidders. And we get crazy. We got music going. Our shows are nothing but
It's
fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
And a 2-hour interview, that's nothing compared to one of our shows.
No,
we'll
I-
start at 6 p.m. and stop at 3 a.m. when
I do
the
have
viewers
I
drops
do have
off.
another question for the panel for you three. What's your biggest regret that you sold?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a good question.
So who do you want to start off with? Because I feel like James is explaining the most because I feel like he has sold a lot and he's regretted a lot.
But there's got to be
I'll-
one regret. I mean, honestly, one kind of it hurt you that you sold it. You might have gotten it back, but at that time, it hurt your groin when you actually.
Well,
sold it.
This was the one that probably hurt me the most. Yeah.
I think I want that book.
And this cover, like this was my first EC book
Mhm.
right here, and I remember this was probably I was doing a Crime City Comics was doing a convention in Miami, and I saw that up there, and I was just obsessed with the kind of the morbidity and depravity of that book, and I went in with my partner at the time, and I bought it. Then I ended up buying it away from him, and then I ended up selling it. And I was just crushed to sell it, but you can't be in the business of selling comics if you don't sell comics. So
Right.
possessing it for just a little while with these pieces of art to me is really, and then finding it again. I've got a new copy of it, but I was sad to see it go the first time. I really was.
James, because I saw smoke coming out of your ears. So if you still need some more time, I can get a cash.
No, I think
He regrets them all the time.
no. So a lot of books I have that I really love, but this sounds a little bit touchy feely, but it's very true. A lot of these books I have a lot of different friends that help me find some very unusual books and hard to find books, like those Marvel Mysteries, Raws, and some others. And I recently sold a Marvel Mystery Schomburg print, and then a autographed print from Schomburg, and then the print itself was from Marvel Mystery 66.
Mhm.
And then I also sold the Marvel Mystery 66 book that went with it. I did not regret selling that. I love those two, the print and the book. And again, it's going to sound touchy-feely, but I really enjoy releasing some of these books to other people that enjoy them as much as we do.
Right, because we know that this is not like Golden Age. Yeah, there's investment as all comics, but these are love. I mean, you don't get into the Golden Age without really loving these books. And there's not many of them. If you sell one, you may not see another one for a while.
I've gotten that, and I'm going to get to you, Cash. I've gotten that when somebody sells me a book, the first thing they say is, "But I know it's going to such a good home because I know you're not going to flip it, you're not going to sell it, and it's going to be on your wall, and you're keeping it because you're a collector." And it brings me joy that I'm selling it to you because you're not going to just right away flip it for another $200 extra. And it's gone to somebody else. It's actually going to a true collector who enjoys the presentation, who enjoys the display. So I kind of get that. So that
I sold a Dark Mysteries #2, which I don't have a copy here. That's a skull cover, and it's a famous skull cover. So if you look up Dark Mysteries #2, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I sold it to David Rail, and it literally couldn't have gone to a better guy. And it's a book that I cherish for a long time, and it was hard to let go of, and I put it in my show. People don't realize, like, some of the books I put in the show, they think I can release them quickly and easily. That's not the case. I mean, the show, there it is right there.
Yeah.
So the book that I sold to David, it wasn't a super high grade, but it has a bonnet stamp right on the skull, and it looks like a tattoo. It's
Nice.
the coolest fucking bonnet stamp you'll ever. So my personal opinion.
And if you're a Golden Age collector, you know what a bonnet stamp is too.
What? So enlighten us.
I got one here.
Go grab one. But I'm going to tell you about a moment that he sold a book that I think he's forgetting about.
Let me finish the story. So the bonnet stamp on this, and I'll show you a bonnet stamp. It looks like a tattoo on this book, but in my personal opinion, there is not a cooler Dark Mysteries 2 on the planet than the book that David has, because mainly because of that bonnet stamp. Again, it's not super high grade. It's not $100,000 book, but it's really unique. It's really. I'll find a bonnet stamp for it.
Okay, so Crime Suspense Stories #1. This is my copy of it. I got it a few months ago, and I'll sell it. It's a beautiful book. I love it, and it's up for sale if anybody wants it. But the moment that I really loved was when James sold his. And do you remember when you sold
Which one was that?
your Crime Suspense Stories #1?
That was a great story.
It was the one book that one of our customers needed to complete the entire run.
Right.
And he didn't have one, and James had a nice copy of it,
7.5.
a 7.5, which was just phenomenal. And that moment where he said, you know what, I want you to have this because I want you to complete the Crime Suspense Stories run, was just, it was a great moment on our show.
And that's one of the cool things. Cash, what's your biggest regret, my friend?
When let's let James show that bonnet book, and I'll just talk about it.
This is not a great example, but it is a bonnet stamp. And let's see if I can you zoom in on that a little bit, Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what area are we looking here?
You're looking up. Hold on, up in here.
Okay.
Let me come in there.
It's
It's not a
great-
small thing.
Oh, I see. So it's equivalent to the old, when they stamped the old stamp books from the comic book
It's a
LCS
bookstore.
at the time. Bookstore.
So bonnet, yeah. So like, let's say you owned, Bob's Books, and you had a stamp
Okay.
that said Bob's, and you'd
Oh, I
stamp
see.
your books.
I see. Okay.
You'd stamp your own books.
So
And-
Bonnet has a history.
Yeah, so Bonnet's still around. I mean, I think they're in Ohio, but they had a big Bonnet stamp like this, and it's on that Marvel Mysteries.
Right on the white
Dark
sword.
So many books that have that big stamp right on the.
It's not like a pedigree, but it kind of feels like one. If you could find,
I want to show one thing real fast.
Sure.
There are people who collect the bonnet books.
Strictly Bonnet. So a lot of Golden Age, or a lot of pre-code guys know this book. So this is one of the probably a top 5 crime books.
I'm zooming in on that.
It's like one of the top 5 crime books of all time. That's Underworld Crime #7. It is hard. You got a soldering iron. You got the gangster grabbing her by the hair, pulling her head back. The other gangster, going in to ask some questions. The boyfriend or the husband or whoever tied up in the back. And these guys are professionals. I mean, if you look at their expressions, they're very comfortable in this environment, right? And this is a big book. So this is like in this condition, this is it's a $3,000 book, right? And it's cool. And the census is not tremendously high. Okay. So I think the census may be like 50 or something. But what people don't realize is #7 is the last in the run. And what's interesting is to try to find the other books in the run. So here's Crime. Let me take this. I'm not trying to sell this. So this is Underworld Crime #1. The census on #1 is low, right? It's already low. It's probably 10, maybe a little higher. Then you get into, I mean, look at this cover. People all focus on number 7, but look at number 5. Look at the purple on this thing, man. This is a cool fucking book. And this has very low census, number 5. And then one I just saw, so I had, this is what I love about this type of community, is I had a guy, he's a police officer in Maryland, and I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland. And he's a police officer that's not too far, and he collects underworld crime. He could not finish his run. He could not find an underworld crime number 4. Couldn't find it anywhere. It's a fucking ghost. And I found him one. And to find this book, and it's in really good shape. It's like a 6.5 to 7.0. And to find, this is what I love about what we do, to find something like this for a guy that's been looking for this book for years.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a 7-book run for Underworld, and you could not find it. To give that to him at any price is pretty fucking cool. That really feels, that's what I love most about this type of thing.
And you think that in this situation, you might gouge someone because they needed, you know, no, this is the point where we're like, yeah, I would. But, no, this is the point where we really kind of want our collectors to meet their goals. I mean,
because you don't want to be that guy.
We all know it. We all felt the same way. I need that.
But we're not idealists at the same. I mean, there's guys, they'll say, you know, I need this for my collection. Then they'll turn around and flip it tomorrow. When I early on, that would have hurt my feelings or pissed me off. Now I get it. It's part of the business. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
but
we let them go too when we get them. We wait for them.
But there's books that you talk about books that you let go that you really wish you didn't let go. I traded a Catman 29.
Oh, that hurt.
LB Cole Catman 29. I traded it for Blue Bolt 105. Then it came for sale, and I bought it back, and then I sold it again.
So you're a masochist. You like the pain.
Apparently.
So Cash, just go. What hurt you, man? There's got to be that one.
You know, and I try not to get too attached, right, to the books. I'm happy to have them for a while and then let them go to somebody else.
Yeah,
but one that I probably regret is Beyond 27. It's divers helmets with a skull. It's also Seduction of the Innocent book. And I regret selling it when I did because I only had it for a day.
Monster.
I made a 1,200% profit in 6 hours on that book, but I would have loved to have had it for a while.
That's such a cool
before
book.
I sold it.
That is such a fucking cool cover. I love that cover. This is 25. I mean, if you know 27, you know 25.
Yep.
It's like the sister.
we call this the Spirit Airlines issue.
Literally, right?
Yeah. So, but the one he's
now
talking,
it's United.
That's
but the one he's talking about,
Value jet.
the one he's talking about is so cool. You have to look it up.
Yeah, that diver's helmet is.
You got to look at.
Are you looking it up, Dale?
You got to look that book up, man. That is so cool.
What's it called again?
Beyond 27.
The Beyond.
Is it 26?
27, and it's Ace Comics. Ace is the publisher.
Dale's on it. He's pretty good.
Such
at
a cool
stuff.
book.
It's bottom line, because we're starting to wind up here. Because listen, if we didn't have, we would talk and drink scotch and tequila to the fucking cows come home. Which,
You know what? We really enjoyed this, by the way. I mean,
you
we
know
had
what?
no idea
Because
what to expect.
by the way, for the people who say you guys are old, be in bedtime, it's Wednesday. It's 8:52 my time, and I'm fucking drinking scotch with two cool dudes. We're not that fucking old, my brothers.
There's
So that's it.
That's it.
There it
That's
is. Yeah.
zoom in on that bit. That's like they found the treasure. They got a little problem.
So that's
Once it,
That's a good cover, man.
so. Would you say, Cash, that was the one that you held?
For a minute.
yeah, and again, I had it for less than a day, and again, I'm not terribly sentimental anyway, and I try not to fall in love with the books, but I do like to have them for a while, to say I've had these for a while
That's a cool
before
book.
I let them go. I didn't have that one long enough.
Finding it at a good grade is difficult. This one right here, I have priced a little high. This one's
On purpose.
this one's
Wait. Is that the one you're
that's
talking
the
about? Dale?
Oh yeah.
There's the
That's
astonishing.
astonishing ones. Yeah, that's an iconic,
Ah, okay. All right, Dale.
iconic cover.
I see you. No pun intended, but I see you.
That's melting. Yeah. This one I have priced a little high, like almost too high, like saying I don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
This is LB Cole.
Is that? I'm just gonna ask because I wouldn't know. He didn't do a self-portrait, did he?
Well, there's people that, but that definitely doesn't look like him. Maybe when he was younger,
Okay. All right.
but that's one of his Satan covers. Some people freak out about it, but
He
you
sure
know,
loved his fire and demons and
and
devils.
look what's happening. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the skull covers. There's one book I will never sell.
Oh, that's a good question. That was
One
actually a
book I
good
won't
question.
sell.
What's? I tell you what.
I've heard this one before, guys.
No,
Let's
I'm
end the
not
show.
selling it.
I'll tell you what. Let's do this. We're running out of time, but we're trying to wipe it up. That's a good question. What's the book you will never sell?
Ain't happening.
Oh, that's correct.
Ain't fucking happening.
Now,
Not selling.
why is that?
There's something about this particular skull cover. I've also got a couple others like hit number 5. But of all the skull covers, even if I had a punch, there's something about the color of how they wrote in the witchcraft title, and the light's not doing this justice.
Something
And this is not a high grade.
Something about the black skull on the yellow background.
It really it jumps, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't see a lot of black skulls. That's
Yeah.
It's just
right.
a cool. This one I won't sell, and
Jason, I'm coming to you next, so you better already have your
this
book
one-
ready.
There's nothing I won't sell.
That's
Yeah,
like-
see,
There's-
that's the wrong question to ask Jason, I guess.
yeah, no, I mean, I've thought that before, and then
There's the ex-wife.
I'll
There's
sell
the
it.
ex-wife book. From now on, can you refer that to Caesar's ex-wife book instead of a Skullgirl?
until I get a higher grade, like I'll jump on it. But that's the Voodoo Princess. I for some reason I'm attracted to that book. I like it. And then I keep upgrading this electrocution cover. I've had many copies, and then this is a 5, whatever it is, a 5.5. To me, the grade it is less important than what that cover really looks like, and that's a pretty solid example of law crime electrocution cover. LB Cole.
Fantastic.
That's black.
So I tell you what, I'm going to bypass Jason because he's.
No, I'm going to show you what book I wouldn't sell.
Well, now you're coming back, right?
I have it right here. There's one book I won't sell.
You fill my house full of lies, Jason. Now you're going back.
Yep. Hold on. But I gotta pull up a picture of it because
I regret selling this. I'm wrong. I regret selling a high grade of this. High grade.
What a coincidence! It's a skull cover.
I regret selling a high grade of this.
What's
a monster.
considered a high grade?
7.0, Mysterious
Yeesh.
Adventures, Mysterious Adventures 13, and a 7.0. Sold. I regret it.
all right. Here's the book that I would not sell.
All right.
All right.
Spider-Man.
What?
231.
Now you're fucking with me.
No, I'm not. I'm not messing with you.
So you're
The significance of that book
You said you like.
I should have just bypassed you after all.
is that was my first comic.
It's a sentimental thing going there. All right.
I was waiting for my mom to pick me up from the orthodontist when I was like 12 years old. I walked into the 7-Eleven, and on the newsstand was that book.
Mhm.
And I had some time to kill, and I'd never had a comic before. I picked up that book and read it, and wow, here I am now. I've got 10,000-20,000 books in storage, but it all started that day
There you go.
with just that book off the newsstand. So that's the only book I really wouldn't sell, just because of its sentimental value.
So you can thank having bad teeth
Okay,
for your
done.
comic addiction. basically, right?
That's what started it.
Having bad teeth led to his comic addiction.
I said, if somebody offered you 40 grand, he's like, it's sold.
If someone offer him $40, they'll fucking sell it.
Sold.
Okay, Cash, what do you got?
Probably, and it's in the other room, but my wife bought me a copy of House of Mystery #1, and for that reason, I wouldn't sell it. Otherwise, I'll sell anything.
So just like Jason, it's sort of that sentimental.
Cool,
thing,
right?
Cool.
Yeah, it's not about value. You know,
No, right.
To me, it's just that's my sentimental book.
See, I would never sell any of my stuff unless I upgrade it. No, serious. I've been doing that. I would sell off one of mine, but I'm upgrading to another one. I'm replacing it with a higher grade.
Yeah, and that's a nice pathway of how you get up. But I've seen a lot of people, trade up and then you sell the undercopy.
Dale, what about you? What's that one book you'll never sell? Oh, there's that hit.
Well, this is one of them.
Yeah, there's a local guy here that has a lot of high grade timelies and some really cool books.
That's cool.
And he's actually downgrading. He wants the book,
So
but he doesn't want the high grades anymore. So he wants.
Does he have a lot of hits?
I don't know if he has any hits.
Because that's if he has any hits, like when I say hits, I mean 19 and 19 or less.
I think you're right, Chad.
Issue 19 or less.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you guys are going to be talking.
Oh yeah.
Dale, you're mute.
Oh, here's the other African.
Oh, I wasn't talking the whole time. But the only books I wouldn't sell would be the ones with my kids on them. Like I have the ones where I'm missing one more.
We're all going to be crying in the last minute of the
show. Winner.
I just say honestly, everything else I can sell if I need to sell it. Because like you say, maybe you can never find it, but it's there. It's out in the open.
How much
right?
for your children, though? Sell me your children.
I mean, that's the reason I work. So
pets are not for sale. Kids are for sale.
Well, Jason will sell the glasses off his face if he had the chance. Listen, reaching the 9 o'clock, Dale kind of allowed me to kind of take over the show with the stuff because I brought you guys on. You guys, this was fun. This is our very first golden
had a blast
talk. A lot of listen, guys. If you've never seen Cold Blue and Crime Show on IG when they do their Saturday shows and they go on to the wee hours of the morning, it's a lot of this, a lot of education, and it's not just Golden Age. Jason has some reasonable silver, some early bronze, very rare moderns, but he's got it. So it's not just for all Golden Age people. It is fun. It's educational. I go in there. I'm going to claim, I'm saying it right now, this year, gentlemen.
This is the year.
This is the year. It's going to be fucking 2038. I'm like, guys.
We'll fit you into something nice. We'll feel good on a Senate book right here.
I want a Senate book. I am looking at that Hanging Guy book. For some reason, that one just gets, or maybe 19, which is the one he's holding the head with the hatchet. Is that 19?
Oh, that's 22.
No, it's 22.
That's the other one it just wants to do it.
Oh, you see that go last week?
No, I don't want to see it go. That's
yeah.
But then again, oh God,
3.5. I mean, our prices are very fair.
No, they're very fair. And then you guys do like
the 3.5 for 6,000.
Well, then I wouldn't have fucking bought it, you son of a bitch. Yeah. So this is the thing. Next week, yes.
I want to see who is the first one between me and you to get a pre-horror book.
Ooh.
Or not even pre-horror, just between me and Caesar, because we both don't own. Yeah. We both don't own about a not pre-horror.
Pre-code.
Pre-code.
Yeah.
Now, but see, I'm specific. I want a Senate book or a Sony book.
He has his eyes on the Senate.
I have my eyes on the Senate wall or Sony. I have, and it has to be graded. Can't be raw. So we'll see. You guys hear it first. The other thing I want to announce, Dale, I think you may have known, but you're gonna have to find another co-host on the 31st because I'm flying to Florida for MegaCon.
Hey,
you're going to Meg?
That's why I asked you guys if you guys. It's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I only bought tickets for the Friday. I'm rolling up there with the Protect and Serve crew. So it'll be myself, Carmine Comics, Chef Flipping Comics, Comic Uprising and Crow Collects are going up there Friday, and we have an Airbnb. So we're gonna be hosting people come down for drinks, food, and we're gonna be hosting them and their live books.
What's the
Where all
date?
those comic books were.
So we're gonna be there Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So that'll be the first, second, and third.
And Charles, to answer your question, no, they are many of them are crime.
Yeah,
Many of them are crime books too. He's asking if they're all horror books. They're not.
Oh, there. That's the one
We'll
I
see.
might. That's the one I'm looking at. I'm looking at the one.
You want this?
Yeah,
One?
I think that's the
That-
one I might want.
I've got a raw copy of this. It's a 3.0. that I
James,
have.
James, do you own any modern books at all?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I don't know. You will like this one. This is what's it called? My exclusive, right? But I don't know if you will like this one.
Yeah, what do you got? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Oh, that's
Don't Be the Ferryman. It's the Martin
I
Zamora
love that
cover.
skull.
Look,
I like skull books.
Look at it. It's a skull and the Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper.
So
It's
I
a
thought you would like it. So.
I like that very
Martin
much.
Zavala is one of our
I like that.
artist friends.
That's
Great art.
Creative, very creative art to take a skull and drift it into the sickle and the fucking. That's beautiful. I love that.
He has another one. Or actually, this was not. It was Kyle Willis. It wasn't Martin Zavala.
Oh, no,
This
yeah.
was
Oh, what
Gillen's Kyle Willis. But yeah, this is one of the two exclusives with Don't Be the Ferryman. I don't know what the other one's at. I think you would like
Why-
the other one.
Why are you doing that, James? Are you fucking with me
I,
over
I
here?
want to give you this, not give it to you, but I want you to have it. This is a. I haven't sent this to CGC. It's still raw. It's a 3.0. And what's interesting is since CGC agreed to put on this book that it was used in the Senate investigation on juvenile delinquency, now it has a paragraph of information on it because it was already.
That one doesn't though.
So it was
That one
already
doesn't have it, right.
it was already a SOTI book.
Mhm,
So it's already SOTI, and it's already a hanging cover.
mhm.
So now it's SOTI hanging, and it says used in the Senate investigation on juvenile delinquency. So the CGC notes on this book when you send it in for grading, it's like a paragraph.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I tell you what. I'm going to talk to you guys anyways in the chat because I want to talk to you see about maybe meeting up if you guys going to go to MegaCon.
Well, I'll figure out a way. We'll figure out a way. To get
We'll
there.
work it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out and I'll do that stuff. And 1750. You know what? I wanted that book, James. I liked it better when he's. I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna edit this video and cut out the part where he says, "I'm gonna give you this book." And then, but I'll tell you what, you
I've been known
guys.
to give. Ask Jason. I've been known to give some ridiculous
I
deals.
know.
on books.
I'm a payment plan guy because Cash is one of my.
Got you covered.
When I first started out doing this, Cash was one of my dealers. He was he was my pusher.
Yeah.
And I'd done many grails with Cash and buying stuff. So
This is a well kept secret. This is a Senate book, and prior to getting the designation of being used in this investigation, it doesn't do it. The screen doesn't do it. It has this beautiful lime green color. It's danger number 8, and you could find it at one time. Now you can't find it.
I've never found one of these.
I have a few copies. I mean,
isn't
my
it
first-
weird? Isn't it weird?
James
like-
bought them all.
You mentioned that many of these books were in dollar bins and people just didn't give a shit.
About half of them, yeah. But once they got, I didn't know anything about them being. Literally, when I became interested in these Senate books, I bought them, a lot of them, for fairly reasonable prices, thinking that there was a big inventory of them. I was wrong. They were just available. People were selling them, and they didn't want them. And so I ended up buying a bunch, getting them graded, and now they're like the True Ghost. The True Ghost is this right here. Really, I mean, this is the Ghost. But I wanted to show you this because if you want a Senate book, this
Yeah,
is
But I want the creepy Senate book. You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
That's not creepy enough.
That's not creepy.
This is a crime book. Okay, that's the highest. It's the highest graded copy
It's 6
right now,
Perfect.
and it's Crime Does Not Pay 133. And why was this on their board? Well, you got a woman in this window. She has all the cash. Her accomplice downstairs is getting shot by the cops, and she's happy about it.
What?
Shoot that fucker. I'm keeping all the cash.
Who's that guy in the upper left-hand corner?
So,
That was enough.
so a lot of these crime does not pay books
Real
had
stories.
real criminals.
Ah, yeah.
Well, see, these are all
Joe
based-
Kramer.
So these are all the crime does not pay are based on
Real crime.
stories. They're very loosely based, but they are kind of like the Law and Order ripped from the headlines, and and that's what these crime books are. And Crime Does Not Pay was the first series.
If listen, I'll say it again. If there's not a reason, if you don't have a reason to not like Golden Age books, that is just the cool part about it, is the fact that they're doing loosely based on real crime.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm the more I get older, the more I watch these guys' show, the more I fall in love with this genre that I have yet to dip a toe in, and I probably will not. Famous last words, but I probably will not because it's too much. But I do want at least. I want to be that guy at the fucking end of that Breakfast Club movie and just my fucking fist in the air, and then the credits come up, and that's all I want. But listen, guys, badass. This is such a fun show.
We'll make it real for you, dude. We got a lot of books that are.
Oh,
not
I know. That's
interesting
why
books. We'll take care of you.
I'm doing a major unboxing this year. Very soon, I have of a lot of grails of mine, some major keys that's been sitting in my closet since September in a box. People are calling me crazy for not opening them up because I know people get their mail call and they open that shit up in the car once they get it. It's been in the closet, boxed up, grails of mine that I've been waiting on forever. But I'm waiting for one more book with TGC to come in so I can do a major unboxing. So I have patience.
That's
And
what
that's all it's about. But you guys were fantastic. Cash. Dale and I brought on the right guy for this tonight's show because it was a golden age.
Cash, love your books, brother. Love your books, my friend.
I'm pretty sure
Thank
you guys
you.
will be in conversation. Cash, you guys. Are
Oh
following
yeah, I
and
see a lot of things I want.
Yeah. So
So with that,
I wanted to say
We've
one
no-
thing.
we're gonna go one by one. We're gonna start with y'all. Go ahead and see what you want to say, and then you go ahead and promote yourself as much as possible.
I wasn't going to promote myself, but we are, like, if you go to so my Instagram is Code Blue Comics,
And I'm Crime City Comics 1.
and we do typically do a live show a couple times a month, and we start at 6 p.m. on a Saturday, and we go until either he falls down. He doesn't fall down because I'll make him a really good drink, and he won't fucking finish it. And there's people on the show that notice. And one of them in particular said, if a man takes the time to make you a really good drink and you don't finish it, you're breaking the man code.
You don't have an extra bed
You're
here.
breaking the man code. But he has to drive sometimes, so I get that. The one thing I did want to say is that when earlier on I mentioned like a pet peeve, it's not really negative, but I just did want to say one thing that many years ago I used to do a lot of like these like strongman competitions. I know this is a long time ago. Strongman competitions and CrossFit competitions, stuff like that. And I used to design T-shirts and stuff. And one of them said, "I'm not strong for my age. I'm just fucking strong." And I feel that way about the Golden Age and the pre-code books. They're not cool because they're old. They're just fucking cool. They really are. That's all it is. And when I see videos about, Maud and, blue light special and go to bed early, they don't get it. They don't fucking get it.
I agree.
These are the best, in my opinion, the best books. So
And when we get on there and we do our show, Caesar will attest to this, that about 25% of our show is selling books and 75% of it is talking about it.
Yeah.
And just really having fun. There's no one else who gets out there and spends, the 6 to 8 hours that we do and enjoy it. And we enjoy doing it. We're laughing, we're making jokes, we're making up stories to fit the books. And
his stories are fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
Jason, what's happening on this book? Tell the story. What's happening on this cover? I thought mine were good.
You'll have to tune in to hear him.
He
though.
kills it. He kills it.
It is true. Cash, what do you got, man?
Hey, Pat.
Sinbad Comics on Instagram. Find me there. Shows right now, doing them once a week, Tuesdays. And what he said, and the Golden Age, they're just cool books. Lots of really interesting stories. Some of the best artwork you're ever going to see. They're just amazing. So collect Golden Age.
You know, when you would walk down the street and you just see a dude, walking, you're like, man, that dude's cool. Don't know him. I care less, but he's just cool. You know what I mean? That's what the Golden Age is. They're just cool books. And
Cool
add
kids.
the history, add the art, add everything underneath that bracket, and it makes it even cooler. Right. So
Give me chills, brother.
I'm going to plug a book for the book club, right? So, this
I'm not
book
going to
here,
read it.
if you want to educate yourself on,
You're ruining the.
No, I
you're
know.
ruining the fire.
if you want to educate yourself on Golden Age, this book, I went through the whole thing in the last day and a half, and it's a great read to hear how all this happened, how it all took place. So
More.
the 10-cent plague.
You took in a nice, emotional, heartfelt.
I gave James. I gave him the fucking the goosies.
The dude broke his heart out and and then you gotta.
And then I plugged. It's not my
You're
book.
plugging a book.
I'm just saying, that people are watching this and like, I want to know more about this.
I'm trying to get James onto my site so he could just give me that book for $400.
I'll give it to this. Obviously, this is the big one, right? Seduction of the Innocent.
That's it. Yeah. And then
But this came out before Seduction of the Innocent.
what did you?
So if you want to read this guy, Wortham doesn't give him any credit. This came out in 1948.
Same topic.
And he talks about 49.
There goes Cash.
There goes Cash. You're going to go get it something.
So this book has everything about the not for children.
I tell you what, James, I might end up just paying you. You just read it to me because I don't fucking read it.
The James audiobook.
So I did have one dude that was kind of creepy, and he said, "Dude, I really like your voice. Can you?"
I think Cash is. I think Cash either fell.
Or he's getting his stuff out. That's what he's doing.
Getting some good stuff.
How do you join the chat? Or you might, Pat. We're actually towards the end. We're just hammering it down a little bit. Well, you're next, Caesar.
Okay.
Oh, there. All right.
Oh,
What
okay,
did you bring? Yeah. What'd you bring? What'd you bring, Cash?
If you're going to collect Golden
Oh, we
Age,
got one of those in the other room.
That's the
Get
book.
these.
That is the key book. The
Those
two
are-
key books. Volume 1.
Ernst Gerber, every Golden Age book in here with its scarcity, all covers,
Oh no shit.
all the titles.
So it's like an
Yeah, the
encyclopedia or sense.
Yeah.
Wow,
If
that's-
you're a Golden Age collector, you have to get this.
You
so
have
it's
to
called
get
the
it.
photo
Have to get
journal. Okay. All right.
It's the photo journal guide to comic books. Ernie Gerber,
Okay.
the guy who founded E. Gerber, the chemist,
Oh.
invented Mylar.
Oh, all right.
So
So that's why they have the
putting that together.
Gerber Mylars. Is that basically where it comes from?
Yeah,
When you're about scarcity index. That's what they're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. I have a lot of books.
Anytime you hear scarcity index, it's
Right there.
from here.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna have
It's
to
the only place you can find it.
I'm gonna have to
Nice.
Amazon that up. All right. Listen, guys. You know where to find me here every Wednesday night with my co-host, my very good friend Dell, Culinary Comics. This was fun. You could also find me on The Real Dracula's Wolf on Instagram. And if you want reels done, I can do your reels. I've been doing a lot of them lately. People have been asking me, and I'm not joking. They're like, oh, it's kind of cool that you do that voice changer. You use that voice changer. And I said, voice changer? What the fuck are you talking about? So I send it back in audio. I'm like, hey, just to let you know, I don't do a voice changer. It's
I just changed my voice.
You just drop the hammer. You just take it
It's
down.
on me. Right. And
Take
it's
it
like,
down. You take it
but
right.
anyways, you want to reel for your promo, live promo, your whatever it is, hit me up. This was
Yeah, the other two photo journal guides were for Marvel. They're Marvel
non-golden age.
later on. These are the golden age. The other two were not golden age.
Yeah, here we go, Dale.
So as usual, I'm always at the end. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in this Wednesday. Honestly, we don't have that much planned out. We other than the Cold Blue and Crime City, we had them planned out since last month. Next week we'll have our friend Matt, and after that, we're gonna have to wing it honestly because I honestly was so busy with my new job that I had to give Caesar the reins. But next week we'll be on again. We're gonna start off trying to be more local. We did get a lot of artists last year. We're gonna try to get more local shops and just talk. There's not gonna be a lot of movies this year. Marvel has calmed down with their stuff. So we're gonna be talking more about comics, and that's what we need to focus on. At least I'm gonna try to make Caesar read so he can read like a series.
That's like gonna fucking happen.
Like I said, I'm gonna try. New year, new him. But with that being said, guys, thank you very much. It's been a cool journey so far. We still haven't hit our 1 year anniversary, which is gonna be like in 3 months.
Yeah.
We're trying to hit at least 40K as followers.
Yeah.
That's the goal right now.
What are we at? 26.7 right now, followers?
26.7. So we're gonna try to push it even more. Get back on the road because the past 3 weeks I've been slacking on content. Caesar's been focusing on Instagram. I'm the one that's supposed to be focusing on Facebook. But we are going to get back on it next week. We are going to be on Wednesday. I don't know when we're going to start doing our movie reviews again because that one we got to talk about. But we are going to continue trying to push as much as possible. If you have questions, you want to jump on your comic shop, you want to talk, you have some good ideas because next week I think we have to talk about the CGC stuff going on. Yeah. Talk about the Spawn situation. About a lot of people are hating on it. Yeah. So we got some talk about. We got to talk about the What If series. Echo came out, so we got stuff to talk about. We do. Yep. We'll find something. There's always something going on. Unfortunately, comics. There's good, there's bad, and we got to cover everything. With that being said, we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you very much, Cash, James, and Jason.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Salute.
Thank you.
Salute, my friends.
I had to be sober today because last time I drank on here, I wasn't pretty. All right, guys. See you later in the stream.